This is a lesson at level 2. It's my final lesson on Caravan, and I'm just going to show you some different ideas to use for improvising over the sequence. One of the things I wanted to show you is the diminished scale, which fits really nicely over the first 12 bars of the A section. That's a scale that alternates between half steps, whole steps, or commonly known as semitones and tones. So it's C, D flat, E flat, E, F sharp, G, A, B flat, C. So it alternates between half a step, whole step, half a step, whole step, half a step, whole step, half a step, whole step. And if you like to use diminished scales, you always start with a semitone if the chord symbol is a dominant seventh. So remember, that's a C7 and a flat 9. When you see a flat 9, it's always a good indicator that the diminished scale could be used. If it's a diminished chord, you do the same scale, but you start with a tone. So if it was C diminished, you'd start with a tone, then a semitone. If you're interested in more information on that, you could check out my jazz snippets where I go into a little bit more detail. But for this lesson, we're just going to do a semitone as the first starting point. So that goes on for 12 bars, and then we resolve to F minor, and you could use the pentatonic on F. So minor pentatonic or a flat 3 pentatonic, so that's F, G, A flat, C, D. It's very similar, the diminished scale is very similar to the notes of the harmonic minor we were using, and there's quite a lot of notes are quite similar, but you do have this E flat, which was missing from the harmonic minor. So remember, it used to go, you've still got that, but you've also got, and we've also got an F sharp. So we're not actually hitting the F at all, whereas in the other one, there's an F. Now, when I was improvising, I wasn't really playing a lot of the Fs because with the chord of C7, it doesn't sound very good because it's the 4th. So this scale of the diminished scale is great because you don't have any fourths. Just go straight to that F sharp. So I'll just demonstrate the sort of sound you would get. Okay. Off with that pentatonic scale. I'm very much at home with that kind of sound, and I really love to improvise over the diminished scale when I play Caravan. When I get to the middle 8, I often play the Mixolydian scales that I was talking about in the previous set of lessons, but if I wanted to branch out, what could I do? Well, there's always the sharp 11, which is always good fun. So if we're on F7, the 9th is a G and B is the sharp 11. So if I add that to B flat 7, the sharp 11 would be an E. On E flat, the sharp 11 would be an A. And on A flat major 7, would I use it there? Maybe, who knows. But definitely on those dominant 7s. So that sort of sound would be. Do that one more time. And so on. So those are some extra notes that sound quite good in this piece. You could also think about diminished patterns, and I'm not going to do loads on that, but one of the patterns I quite like to do is an ascending diminished pattern. So if I did it in a very basic format, I would use notes of the diminished chord. So in one of the previous lessons I talked about how the C7 flat 9 had a diminished shape on top. So I'll just remind you of that: C, E, G, B flat and D. So you take away the root and you are left with a diminished chord. So a dominant seventh with a flat 9 is partly a diminished chord with the note C in the bass, or we could say the upper structure is a diminished chord. So a starting point might be going up in arpeggiated ideas, or just breaking it up. So I'm playing the same sort of shapes, but not just going 1, 1. Well, it's really 3, 5, 7, flat 9. Rather than do that, sometimes I extend the top note, so I get this kind of sound. So although the first chord is C7 flat 9, as a pianist I often comp with a sharp 9 as well, because that diminished scale not only has the flat 9 but also has the sharp 9. So I can do a little pattern where I use, instead of having a D flat at the top, I can extend that, so I've got that kind of flat 9 shape. Etc. They're quite exciting when you're trying to build up a climax. And that's my approach to improvising on Caravan. There are various play-alongs that are also available that you can practice all these ideas on. And obviously it doesn't beat playing with a real band, if that's your thing. But hopefully all this information and the play-alongs should help you get along and start you improvising and playing Caravan.